Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got another review for you from DC Comics. It's Arkham City, Order of the World, issue number 2. It's written by Dan Waters, artist by Dani, colors by Dave Stewart, and lettering by Aditya Bidikar. I can't. I love this issue. The art. I've already. I know both this team from Coffin Bound, from Image's books Coffin Bound, and I've loved this art, Danny's art, and from the beginning. But I can understand why it's not like everybody's typical version of art. But for some reason, in this book, it works like really well. Especially when she does certain characters. We do get a new character in this issue, but let's get into it. It starts off with like two it's two gentlemen, and they're talking. They're going into a house. We find out it's a drug dealer and a somebody that's trying to get the drugs, and the drug dealer is stating that he doesn't have the drugs that the guy is looking for, but he does have something better that will get him a better high. And recently, because of the A-Day situation and all the inmates, exiting out of Arkham, somehow this drug dealer was able to catch kind of he's like a subpar villain, but his name is Double X. Supposedly he fought Superman one time. I am not aware of Double X. I'm not a huge Superman fan, so I don't recognize him. So as far as I know, it could be a new character that they're saying has fought Superman before. If you have read Superman, you know who Double X is. Let me know down below. But for all I know, it could be a first appearance, and they're just setting up like, hey, yeah, that's why this guy was in Arkham, because he fought Superman, kind of thing. But supposedly he takes him down there. He tells him to touch the guy's hand, and he tells him it's going to be a freebie. But when he touches Double X's hand, and they have him all chained up and bound. Supposedly they're keeping him away from the sun because the sun allows him to power up or something. But away from the sun, his power has a different kind of effect. And basically he touches him, and it's like, he looks like he starts tripping out and sees like, it kind of like he leaves his body there, and his soul and Double X, both of their souls kind of like float up above where they are, kind of thing. It's very artsy in the explanation of the powers, so I'm not 100% on how they're explained, kind of thing. It jumps back over to Jocasta Joy, Dr. Joy, who we met in the first issue. She is a psychiatrist who currently works at Arkham, and she's been trying to find and locate all the escaped inmates. We did see in the first issue that she was in the process of recovering Ratcatcher, and he had been attacked, and he was missing his jawbone or something like that. So now we're catching up, and she's doing like the report and talking to a police officer about the report, and like basically the failure of not capturing the other inmates. She kind of goes over like some of the other more popular ones that are there, like Professor Pig, and she even mentions the Ten-Eyed Man. The detective does state something about her knowing the knowledge or whereabouts of the Ten-Eyed Man, even though she states that she doesn't. But we as the readers do know that she does. For some odd reason, Dr. Joy is working with the Ten-Eyed Man. At first in this book, they even show it as like when she's talking on the phone, and as soon as he says the Ten-Eyed Man, like the Ten-Eyed Man is like crawling on the walls behind her, and they kind of make it seem like she doesn't know he's there, kind of thing. And eventually he does say hi to her, and he kind of like creeps out the window, and she ends up following him. They jump over to this book's new character, a beloved character, one of the ones I was excited about when they hinted it in the last issue. But we meet up with Azrael, and Azrael is he's in a church and a monastery, and he's basically getting instructions to go find and take care of of somebody, and basically Azrael, in his churchy way, does all that good stuff, and then yes, master, and then takes off. The way they draw Azrael, oh my God, oh, it's so good. But they jump back over to Dr. Joy and the Tin-Eyed Man, and him basically, it's kind of like a lot of it is in her thoughts. There is conversation with the Tin-Eyed Man, but most of it is like her thoughts, and she's thinking about the Tin-Eyed Man, and it's basically a lot of the origin of the Tin-Eyed Man, which I love. So, key appearances, this is big because they go into like his complete origin, stating that he used to be known by like Ralph Mutter or something like that before. Don't quote me on bad names, but I do believe his name was Ralph. But basically somewhere along the line that he suffered from like some type of severe schizophrenia or something like that, and like he basically like had his eyes taken out and had them implanted in his hands, and somehow he believes he can see through the eyes in his hands, even though she states that's biologically that's not how that works. But she goes into stating that he has proven that somehow it works for him because he can see through walls. It seems that sometimes that he can see future, events. He can see through kind of dimensions, kind of, because it's ten eyes, and his two eyes are just, kind of like, I think each eye does something differently, but they didn't get that far in the explanation. But she does admit that she has no explanation on how he's able to use the powers or have the powers, kind of thing, because biologically it just doesn't make sense that he just surgically put his eyes in his hands. But they do show them moving around and stuff like that. But during the conversation that's going back and forth, because most of that was in her head, so going back and forth to the conversation with him and her, he has just been, he's saying that the ghost of Arkham is coming. It's kind of like on the way, and he's kind of like, the Arkham ghost has been like leaving kind of like a riddle and setting up this kind of like riddle that he's trying to figure out. And we're getting to the name of the book, Arkham City, and what it looks like is, and he explains to the doctor, is literally the way Gotham is built on the map, that Gotham is set up in the design of the Arkham Asylum, stating that certain areas of Gotham are like the heavy mental ward, and this part of Gotham is like the incurable section, and he has this map that he has, like, he's kind of showing Joy, and they're on a huge skyscraper, and he's like, showing her how it's laid out, and she's kind of like, oh God, it kind of looks like that, the design of Gotham looks a lot segmented, looks a lot like the way Arkham was built. And he even makes a statement, and they've been kind of setting this up about, and I forget the exact building, but it was Hugo Strange's headquarters that they are now building into the Arkham Tower or something like that. It's going to be like this separate Arkham Asylum building in the middle of Gotham. And he kind of states that the ghost of Gotham is in that building or something like that. And that's kind of all they go into there. They do jump back over, and like they kind of hint at Double X, and then they go back to Joy and the Tin-Eyed Man, and the Tin-Eyed Man saying, he starts telling Dr. Joy that there is another inmate he's located that the Arkham ghost has told him and has shown him through his eyes. And basically in the boroughs where they're holding Double X, basically points on the map, and he's like, yeah, Double X is right, that's one of the captured inmates. And supposedly as it goes, it looks like the map is going to reveal where the other inmates are hiding or being detained, kind of thing, like in the situation with Double X. So he does point it out on the map. She gets on the phone and gets in contact with GCPD, and they get on the way to go get Double X. They do show the borough's drug house where Double X is being held, and at the same time that the cops are getting there, of course, we see Azrael show up in like high fashion, but basically Double X starts stating that he can finally see the sun and gets excited. The drug people inside are all freaking out because he's acting very strange and stating that he can see the sun even though it's nighttime outside. And basically Azrael comes crashing through the window. He ends up, like, I think killing the other two drug lords or whatever, and he ends up beating the crap out of Double X. I don't want to say he killed him, even though as Azrael's like known for doing that. But as far as the book shows, he just kind of like shows up, releases him, beats the crap out of him, and then like he kind of ends up like leaving. While this is going on, the cop that showed up on the scene to investigate to see if the inmate was being held there, why he shows up by himself, I don't know. I mean, come on, it's an Arkham inmate, you know, from the Arkham Asylum. Most of them are known supervillains, but this cop shows up on his own. And basically when he shows up, one of the, you know, the people that was protecting the drug lord house in the boroughs, like one of the henchmen, it's a girl, but she ends up like showing up with a shotgun, and as soon as the cop is trying to stop Double X because he's running out of the house as Azrael's after him, he shows up to, you know, tell Double X to stop, and the girl ends up shooting, and it goes through like Double X's like, because he's kind of got this projection thing going, and she ends up shooting the cop, and from the way the book looks, and a lot of this is artist interpretation kind of thing. It's left, some of it is not well defined. But it does look like the cop does die. I mean, they do show him getting shot around this area, but there is another scene when they show that they're the cop and the blood on the ground, but it does look like that she might have got more of the noggin, you know, than before. While this is going on, this is while, you know, Azrael's beating the crud out of Double X, and then he kind of just, he leaves him, you know, basically he stayed center, and then, you know, leaves them all broken and beaten, and then just takes off. While this is going on, Dr. Joy does get the call from the police that one of the police was either hurt, it didn't really state, but either hurt or injured, but that they were able to recover Double X, and he has been like heavily injured, and the Ten-Eyed Man, the Ten-Eyed Man kind of makes a statement, and Joy's like, yeah, you're right, I'm starting to believe this kind of thing, because she was kind of in the doubts about the Arkham Ghost thing. She doesn't doubt the Ten-Eyed Man, of course, she's there listening to him kind of thing. But they just show at the very end, the last page, it's like a 4-panel spread of like things that are to come, and they kind of show like a scene with the girl, and it looks like, I would imagine it to be Arkham's ghost. It looks so pimp, but it kind of just looks like a fiery skeleton, if you could. But then they show one of the inmates that looks like he could be next up on the chopping block as far as Azrael's concerned, and Dr. Joy, but that would be, I'm drawing a blank, Mr. Pig, or, yeah, let's just call him Mr. Pig for now, but the Pig Butcher, but man, I'm drawing a blank. Okay, so bad with name, guys. And I actually like this villain, but they just they show Azrael getting ready, it looks like, to go after Professor Pig, going after Professor Pig, and then the very last, you know, that he is reading the paper, and it looks like the Azrael's reading the paper, and it's a picture of like Dr. Joy, because she had just recently released a book right before all this happened, and she's on the front cover of the paper, and Azrael's reading the paper, and it looks like the church is telling him that he needs to go after Dr. Joy first before maybe he takes out some other inmates kind of thing. But that's where this issue leaves off. Overall, I love this story. It was great. So far, it's one of the my top reads from this week. The art, honestly, and I've stated all that in the beginning of this video, the art was fantastic. Now there is a couple scenes that I mentioned where things are left, maybe to the imagination, and it's not really like that. I think it's just the way it's drawn. But the art is fantastic. The story, the pacing. I'm just loving this one. It's more of like a gritty kind of a detective, noir kind of thing, but it's nice because you got the, Azrael kind of side story going. You got the whole ghost and mythical side with Ten-Eyed Man and the Arkham Ghost thing. I'm really enjoying the series. Dani and Dani Waters are knocking it out of the park, in my opinion. But that's my review. I will see y'all soon. Like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you thought, all that good stuff. Bah!